Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone, the 1620 The Zone app, and 1620thezone.com. When 6A to 6P isn't enough, the boys have you covered. Here's Jimmy Allen
and John Schreiner.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome inside the After Hours Lounge, where we all show up on time. It is the After Hours Lounge brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu. You can register for classes to have the ideal college experience this fall. No classes on Fridays. You can do the majority of your classes online. Check out bellevue.edu and register for classes today. We got a great show lined up for you. We got a lot to recap and talk about. It has finally happened. Rory McIlroy has himself a green jacket. Dan Campinen is going to break down all the action for us at 6:15.
Can I join in too? Am I allowed?
We'll see.
Maybe, John.
Let's get through this first portion of the show, and then we'll debate from there. John Walker, speaking of debating, will talk to us at 6:30 and debate. Was it the right time for Alan Huss to come back to Omaha? We'll talk about that with John Walker from the Omaha World Herald. And Husker fans were triggered this weekend. I think they were dumb for being so. We'll talk about that at 6:45. We'll buy or sell on a lot of different topics, including we are 135 days away from kickoff in Kansas City for the Huskers, folks.
Wow. That's too many. Make it less.
It's going to be here sooner than we know.
Delete a few days.
Speaking of football, there's a NFL draft coming up, and I've got some questions for the three of you yahoos. Who's your dark horse in the first round? We're going to figure it out at 7:15. At 7:30, Tennessee needs a new quarterback. The college, not the pro team.
The pro team too.
Yeah, but that's a good point. All of Tennessee.
I like mayonnaise, boy.
You know what? All of Tennessee just needs new quarterbacks. I'm sure they probably need one in Middle Tennessee somewhere as well. But we'll talk about what happened with Tennessee and NIL, and is Nico heading to the Big Ten? We'll talk about all that and more. You can join the show, 402-951-1620. You can follow along at After Hours 1620 on Twitter, and make sure to leave a comment on Twitter or on the YouTube. Let us know you're punching in for the night shift tonight. Matt Rule spoke yesterday at the podium, and he unpacked a lot. We're going to talk about Nico at 7:30, but he kind of addressed it a little bit. But before we get to all that, Sean Callahan had asked about being grandfathered in, and if guys are on the roster can still be a part of the roster, even if they don't meet that 105 requirement, if they were here before the House settlement comes in. And I've been trying to figure out the best way to unpack this and make this make sense, because it kind of feels like you're penalizing players for doing nothing by making them leave the roster that they're on. I don't see any way it is feasible for the NCAA to look at their players, because a lot of these guys are going to be left out in the cold or have to go down to Division II or elsewhere. It feels like it is their fiduciary responsibility to make sure that everybody that's currently on a roster still has that spot, and then implement the numbers going forward.
And why is it their responsibility?
Because they're supposed to have the best interest for the athletes. And I don't understand how, hey, we just don't have a spot for you because a rule changed, isn't what's best for the athlete on the field or in the classroom. Because I don't know if you know this, John, but the majority of them will go pro in something else. So if that is your responsibility, if your responsibility is to make sure that student athlete, whether it be football, basketball, soccer, whatever, is to get an education. And just because money has become prevalent and changes are happening, you're going to tell that kid you now don't have a roster spot. That's completely different for a kid that doesn't have one yet, but somebody that's already on campus and telling them, hey, this has to change because we haven't done a very good job of policing this, and you're the only person that's affected by this. I don't think that's fair or the right thing to do.
But that's why I was advocating for a transition period from the jump.
Sure. And I agreed with you.
Yeah. We were in total agreement about that.
I didn't know how you would go about doing it. And I think if you can do it for COVID, and if you can give guys extra years, you got guys going into their 8th and 9th season because something happened that you weren't expecting, is exactly the same situation here. So I think making that spot for the current walk-ons throughout college football and the overtures of the roster going forward, you have to manage that.
Yeah, I think it's got to be either like a graduated reduction from like, okay, you can have 120 this year, you got to be down to 110 next year, and then in 3 years' time, you got to be down to 105.
Yeah,
right. I think that would make it fair. Or you could say, okay, keep everyone on your roster, but any new additions have to be under a certain limit.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I think you have to do. Because just telling a guy, "Hey, listen, we recruited over you and we gave you a spot, and now just because we're being told by outside parties that you don't have an education anymore." And again, a lot of these guys are going to be able to go to the Division II level, the lower, the
FCS,
power,
whatever it may
the
be.
Group of 5 and below. Sure. But like and Matt Rule talked about it yesterday. He said, I go up to the guys and I tell them, "Hey, you're on the 105. Hey, you're competing for the 105. Hey, there
You're
just
not.
isn't a spot here for you." And some of those guys say, "Hey, listen, I'm a Husker and I'm going to be here until you tell me not to." And for all of the situations that are happening at Tennessee with NIL and guys looking for a bag, there's probably 100 more. "Hey, I came here to go to the school and I want to be here." Conversations happening.
You're always going to have that disparity of, the player who is playing for the team that he grew up loving versus the player who's playing for the best situation that he could get.
Are you surprised that Matt Rule said the day after the Iowa game is when he pulled guys aside and started talking about this already? About this is what?
Not at all.
I'm not either, and I like it. I think a lot of people would have expected a coach to want to take some time off, but the fact that he was like the day we went in there and said, "This is where we are with rev share. This is where we are at roster limits." And the reason I asked the question was, it didn't seem like Matt Rule was ever intentional by taking his foot off the gas and adding guys to this roster. So that's why it kind of surprised me a little bit that he said the day after we were already having this conversation.
Yeah, and I think he was just operating under, like, sort of covering himself in that, like, okay, if we cut down to 105 now, and then we're like because it was changing almost hourly at that point, like what was going to happen.
Still feels like it is.
Yeah. And it was, I think he was sort of like, okay, we'll deal with a cut down when they tell us we have to. But for now, like, we're going to cover ourselves and keep all the players that we can because we still can. And like, it may end up being a smart strategy because I think there are a lot of teams out there who've already kind of trimmed the fat and cut their rosters down. And now there's talk of having a transition period or a graduated cut down or whatever it may be. And so some of those teams might be a little bit at a disadvantage because, everybody else is going to get 120. Well, you've already cut to 105. You can't go back to 120 now, right? Like, you've already cut those players and told them they're not on your team. I don't know how that's going to work.
The question I would have if I'm a head football coach right now is like, are we firm on the 105? Are we going to revisit this at any point? Like, do we have a bargaining ship like conversation every so many years? And I think you got to be asking the same question, like, because everybody wants to compare it to the NFL. It kind of feels like that's the model they're trying to mirror it after. But the thing with the NFL is you have a collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah,
and there's checks and balances, and you have player representation. And that is almost impossible at the college level. So, like, is it
until they allow a players union?
But here's the thing: that's going to change every 4 years, no matter what. And the only way it doesn't is if you at least have one freshman in every single year to continue on that group. By the way, they still have to go to school. They still have to, you know what I mean?
It doesn't have to, because the union who represents college football can sign an extensive collective bargaining agreement that can last up to 10 years or something like that.
Right. But then think about that process though. You're going to have two entire cycles underneath that agreement of kids that weren't even in school at the point that the agreement was made.
Sure.
But I guess when I say that out loud, that leads me
to have players who come into the NFL under a collective bargaining agreement that they had no part in.
Right, but I say that, but they have these decisions made for them without them anyway.
Right.
So I mean, maybe it's better with the devil you know than the devil you don't. When we talk about coaches and leaving for jobs, it kind of feels like nobody talks about it. Matt Rule talked about when when guys leave here, we just want them to do it for the right reasons. Make the decision based on getting the right information, because don't come back to us and say, well, so and so said we were going to get and we didn't get it. But he put it in his own terms. I think he does this better than a lot of coaches, where he can make it relatable to him. He's like, listen, I left for Baylor, but I left it better. I left Temple better than when I got there. And I explained to them, and I left Baylor for Carolina and left it in a better spot. You can't argue that Temple and Baylor football weren't in better spots than when Matt Rule got there. And a lot of that seems because of the communication level that he operates at.
Yeah, I think what he's asking for is transparency.
Yeah.
It's just like, be honest. if you're thinking about leaving, let us know.
Sure.
And we'll help you, because he's like, I desperately want these guys to be happy.
I thought it was really cool that he mentioned that the Carney guys were there a couple days ago, and he was checking up on all those former players like Davon Hall and all those guys. I thought that was awesome.
And so those comments to me, it really struck me because I think he was talking about, without saying it, Mekhi Bayer.
Mm-hmm.
When he said, they told me I was going to be a starter and now I'm not a starter. And now you're calling me up. And you just have to make sure that the people you're talking to are giving you good information and you're acting for the right reasons. I can't say for sure. It's a speculation on my part. I understand that. But it certainly sounded like he was talking about Mekhi Bayer.
Well, and it's one thing to be told you're going to be a starter, but you've got to think about all of the outside possibilities when you go somewhere for that reason. Like, what if you get hurt? And the only reason you're leaving a place that you're very happy at is to go get playing time. Well, there's a lot more than a coach's decision that goes into the factors of you actually seeing the field.
Mekhi Bayer was getting playing time at Nebraska.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which you've got to wonder, and obviously he wasn't at Missouri very long, if there was a certain dollar amount promised to him.
4 months?
Yeah, if that. If he was promised a certain dollar amount and that money wasn't there when at the end of their fall workout or their winter workouts.
Yeah, it's just it's a situation right now that unfortunately is ripe for predatory behavior, and there are going to be losers on both sides of the equation. Actually, there are going to be losers. There are going to be players who get taken for a ride and sold a bill of goods and end up in a worse situation than they were in before, and there are going to be schools who get taken for a ride as well, or lose players that probably had no business leaving. And just right now, it seems like there's a lot of lose-lose out there. There's some win-win. There's plenty of win-win.
Sure. And that seems to be more on the basketball side of things, too. The win-win situation seems to be more on the basketball side.
I think there's a lot of win-win in football as well.
So there's some. I'm just saying I think there's because there's more landing spots, right? And there's more spots to be successful in basketball.
But it just seems to me that it's a very unstable situation.
And I wonder if what we saw in Knoxville, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, is kind of the checks and balance portion. We've finally seen somebody get a no.
We've hit the ceiling
from demanding some. Is there a trend being set? We'll talk about that later in the show and a whole lot more. If you missed the opening segment tonight, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620, because I got to brag for a minute. This segment was brought to you by Allo Fiber. Allo Fiber not only has put their fiber network in my house, 5 of my neighbors on my street have gotten Allo Fiber over the last 4 months. They've come over for parties. They've come over for New Year's Eve. They're saying, Jimmy, how is your internet speed this fast? We're on your Wi-Fi. Boom, bang, bam. We're good. We're on our socials. We're being able to post these great videos from your party. How is it this fast? I'll tell you how it's this fast. It's Allo Fiber. If you're sick of dealing with a slow internet in your house, get an upgrade by heading over to allofiber.com. Tonight, get out of the Stone Ages. Check out allofiber.com for more details tonight. Green jackets being handed out inside the After Hours Lounge. We come back. 1620 Zone.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. Are you like me? Did you watch the golf over the weekend? Did you then immediately go out and feel like you were on top of the world? Well, if you're like me, you also went out and smacked some golf balls into the trees after you watched the pros on television and got your head inflated a little bit. But you know what? You know what will inflate your head a little bit more is when you show up in the great gear when you step up to that first tee. And Jerry Ryan has all the great gear. They have the new golf polos, the new line for this year from Roan. And if you haven't felt or worn or even seen the new Roan polos, you need to get yourself to 78th and Dodge and check them out. They're gorgeous. They feel great. And you are going to walk up to the golf course and your buddies are going to be immediately jealous. They're going to ask you, where do you get all this great golf gear? And you're going to tell them, Omaha, Nebraska, 78th and Dodge, Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. You want the best in golf gear? Get yourself to Jerry Ryan Plus. They've still got some of that Creighton gear that's 50% off. Men's and women's both. Get in there and check it out before it's all gone. It's Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, dressing Omaha for over 50 years. That's a jam.
You just triggered me, Dan. The After Hours Lounge brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app. Keep up to date on all the championship action happening on Bellevue's campus today.
That's a good jam, Dan. Dirty Hits gets it done.
Great song. Now what's got me triggered?
Did you want Mike Tirico's call instead?
No. You know what I want? I want the Get in the Hole guy to shut up.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys know, because on 18, you also heard, Get in the Hole! You know what happened? He missed it. Shut up!
They do it on drives on par fives.
Oh, it's so annoying. Well, okay, am I... Listen.
It's like the Vandy Whistler.
Listen, you guys know I'm not... I watch golf 3 or 4 times a year. Was there like a lot more noise at the Masters this year?
I think they had more crowd mics.
Yeah, I think they had a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because like you could hear people talking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, isn't this like the Masters?
A lot of F-bombs on the coverage this year.
Yeah, I was like, isn't this the Masters shtick to like tell people to shut up and be quiet? Like, isn't this what they do?
No, that was the first 2 days on that ESPN feed. I think they had very high quality lavalier mics on every single hole because
probably not next year.
I was watching that first day with JT, and he was not playing well for that first half of the course, and it was
he let you know about it.
Come on, what are you doing, JT? And he would talk to himself, and he would like scream at himself, and you were like, ooh, okay.
When Rory had his shot and lean and walk off. You heard everything he said too, and obviously nothing bad, but like it was kind of cool to get that moment. But one thing before we talk about Rory's win, I really wonder how bad Bryson DeChambeau was sucking was messing with his game too, because he just kept having to sit there and wait and wait and wait, and that did not help anything. And Bryson just kept he had that one double bogey. Oh man, it was just. Not great.
It was not his day.
Yeah, well, and in Rory, you could just see the frustration on Rory. And with that being said, he still shot 8 under, by the way. But you could just still just see the frustration on Rory's face. It's like, dude, come on. Dan, thoughts?
Rory shot 1 under on Masters Sunday. Are you talking 8 under collectively?
Yeah, he was 8 over for the tournament. Yeah, no, I was talking Bryson. Bryson shot. Yeah.
Who gives a crap about the YouTube golfer?
Come on, Dan.
Oh, look at me. I got all these big muscles that I hit the ball for. Hey, you know who outdrove him on the majority of the holes on Masters Sunday? Rory McIlroy.
Could you imagine how good Justin Rose felt going into the clubhouse, though? You're 11 under. Scheffler's in the clubhouse. You know Rory's going to choke at some point and probably put one in the sandbank. Guess what he did?
Now... That's the bigger overall story of Masters Sunday because Rory came in 2 shots ahead of Bryson DeChambeau and 7 shots up on Justin Rose. Rose basically played a perfect Sunday and battled back all the way to 11 under. And then to have, especially that moment being the only person who's tied at the top of the leaderboard, sitting on the range and just being like, well, I guess I have to stay warm because there's a chance this could go into a playoff.
Yeah.
And I knew the moment Justin Rose heard the groans at 18,
he knew it was game time.
They flashed back over to him and he had already
was in the cart,
put his driver back in. He was sitting in the cart and he was like, all right, I know what we're about to do.
That reaction though, for Rory's birdie, when they put it up on the scoreboard at 18 and everybody just went nuts. That was awesome. That was awesome.
I'll tell you what, though. We were talking about this earlier, Dan. As far as Justin Rose goes, I don't think he lost it on the 73rd hole.
No, not at all.
He lost the tournament on Friday because Friday was a day when there were a lot of low scores out there. Justin Rose went out early in the day when the course conditions were great for scoring. And he seemed to be really defensive. Like he was just trying to protect his lead. He was almost playing like a prevent defense on the golf course.
He had that one layup too, where he could have drove it down the fairway, but just kind of laid it up and played it out from there.
I think he let everyone else get back into the tournament when he had a big lead, when he could have gone out there and scored. And it felt like his hesitancy to go after it on Friday really changed the tournament.
Because
And
on Thursday he played very aggressive.
he did,
Yeah.
and he ran away.
Yeah.
with the first round. So I think like he's got to be thinking today, like if I had just played more aggressively on Friday, gotten 2 shots better on Friday, like it's mine in the bag.
He just needed 1 shot.
Yeah.
That would have gave me the playoff. Anybody disappointed we only got 1 hole?
No.
No, you only need 1.
I know, but I kind of wanted to see the duel, like maybe
A
1,
14-hole playoff that goes into
2,
Monday.
2 or 3 of them would have been fine with that. But
I had the grill going. I was ready to get everything onto the grill last night, and I was like, all right, come on. I was like, Rory, just hold this putt. I was like, you know, you got to do it. Just come on.
But hey, how about that mental fortitude for Rory, blowing it on the 18th, putting it in the bunker, missing the putt, and then coming back and hitting 2 absolute dimes.
Yeah,
on the playoff
that
hole.
drive couldn't have been more perfect.
Well,
The
his second shot was just using the bank to roll it back toward the hole. Like
I thought
it was so amazing.
I thought he overshot it because Justin Rose's shot died, and I was like, I was wondering, I was like, did Rose not put the backspin on it, or is the green different?
There's a bank there.
Yeah, no, I know, but Rose basically hit the same shot, just like 2 feet to the right. Rory put it in the perfect slide back spot where it rolled back to the hole.
It was amazing. Yeah, he was so good on those 2 shots in the playoff hole. He absolutely deserved to win based on that.
And I can't imagine if he goes out and he misses that putt that he did on the 18th, and then he goes in that playoff and just crumbles the storylines that would be going on today. But to claw back, get his green jacket, man.
And had the perfect walk-off line, by the way, after he's walking through the crowd, talking to everybody. Everybody's just looking at him. He goes, I got a green jacket to go put on. Just walked away. I was like, there it is. That's the moment. Dan, John Walker over the phone, or is he joining us on the stream?
He'll be joining us via the stream.
All right.
Also, the greatest line out of Rory that he said multiple times because he's a Northern Irish comedian is, before we start, guys, what are we going to talk about next year? I was like, all right, put it to bed. Last media session, you're done talking about it now, buddy.
Well, he doesn't.
I promise you that.
He doesn't talk to the media anymore. Remember? He's not legally obligated.
He took all that time in the cabin to talk to him. He took all that time at the trophy presentation to talk to him.
He must listen to After Hours and know that we were dogging him for it.
He did try to shut down a reporter on Friday, though. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, there was
I missed this.
There was something weird that happened on 17 with a fan.
Was he yelling, "Get in the hole"?
I don't remember. I don't know exactly what the dust up was, but one of the reporters said, "Can I ask you about the shenanigans on 17 with the fan?" And he goes, "No, you can't." And the reporter's like,
I didn't have
why?
I didn't have a response for that.
And Rory says, "Because I don't want you to." He asked the question anyway, but
fair enough. Yeah.
What happened with the fan? I didn't see this. Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know what it exactly was referring to. I guess somebody was talking to him or something like that.
I think there's a weird between like 17 and 18 on Augusta when you
got to walk through the crowd, right?
Yeah, when you're playing, you have a super weird walkway, and it's sort of observed, but it's never really truly observed. And they don't really hold anyone back, especially on Thursday, Friday. So you kind of get caught in a little bit of a crowd crush sometimes. So there's a chance that someone was probably just, John Adam.
Speaking of jawing at him, John Walker is going to jaw at us about Creighton basketball on the other side of the break. If you missed this segment, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Cunningham's Pub. It is time for you to get down to the Blackstone District. If you haven't checked out the brand new Cunningham's location, you are missing out. We get it. We understand there's been parking problems down in the Blackstone area. Those have all been solved. Go ahead and stop by Cunningham's. Park in the parking garage right across the street. It's less than a 5-minute walk to Cunningham's front door. Try the buffalo wings tonight. It's a house-made buffalo sauce like you've never had before. If you're like, I've had all the chicken wing experiences you could wish for, I promise you this one will be different. Cunningham's famous smoked wings with Derek's homemade buffalo sauce is second to none. Stop by and grab Cunningham's tonight. John Walker talking Creighton hoops on the other side of the break. 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Bob at Williams Law. Is there some shenanigans happening in your life? Have you had a dust up? Do you need to get some things straightened out? Well, Bob is your guy. Check him out, williamslawllc.com. You need a free, no obligation legal consultation because that's the right thing to do when you're choosing a lawyer is to get to know them first, to gauge how the relationship is. Do you like how they want to represent you? Do they answer the questions appropriately? Do you feel comfortable before you step into the courtroom with that person as your legal representative? Well, Bob wants to give that to you, and that's exactly what he's going to do. No cost to you. Your first meeting with Bob is on the house. No matter what your problem is, whether it's criminal or civil, Bob can give you the advice that you need. Again, check him out at williamslawllc.com.
.633 on a Monday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Download the BU Bruins app to your smartphone to keep up to date on all the championship action happening on Bellevue University's campus tonight. Speaking of championship action, John Walker from the Omaha World Herald, who brings you all the championship action happening around the city, now joins us with his four-legged friend. John, good evening, sir. How are you?
What's up, guys? Yeah, I think I'm doing this in my living room today. There's Ovi. This might be his debut.
This
Hi,
is
buddy.
Obi.
Oh, there
This
we
is Obi's
go. There we
debut.
go. This is prime stuff.
We heard some clattering and some noise a couple weeks ago from him, but he did not actually appear on camera. Maybe he was trying to go get on the Huss bus because Alan Huss is coming back to Omaha, and obviously we haven't talked to you since this news broke.
Yeah.
He leaves High Point in a head coaching position to come back to Creighton to be the head coach in waiting. Why do you think this was the right time for him to do that?
Yeah, the fact of the matter is there's only one place in the country that could have got Alan Huss to take this job at this time, at this point in his career under these circumstances. And it's the job he currently has. as the associate head coach at Creighton and effectively the coach in waiting to succeed Greg McDermott when he retires sometime in the next few years. So I really think that's what it was. Like Alan Huss, from the people I've talked to, from the statement he put out on X earlier today, it was a really, really, really hard decision for him to leave. Like, love the location. It's a great location. As he said, he loved the support that he, the team, the program, and the university as a whole got down at High Point. So it was really, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention they were winning a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
NCAA
all
tournament.
of that made it, it made it a really, really, really hard decision to leave. And again, there's only one place in the country that could have got Alan Huss, that did get Alan Huss to make this type of move, and that's his alma mater, Creighton.
I wonder what your read on the situation is. What does this spell for the timeline for Greg McDermott? I know there's been a lot of speculation. So throw yours out there too, John. How long are we going to see Coach McDermott patrolling the sidelines at CHI?
And we need in days. How many exact days? Do you
How many days? 30 set. No,
No,
okay. It'll be sometime in the next couple of seasons. I've talked to a few different people who like that. That's the expectation. Sometime in the next 2 seasons. I can't remember who asked me. Maybe unsportsmanlike conduct on
we're not allowed to talk about them. No, I'm just kidding.
on Thursday, the day all of this kind of unraveled into the public eye. I think they asked me if I could see this being the last year,
Mhm.
and I said, well, I guess in theory, for conversation's sake, for speculation's sake,
Right.
yeah. I mean, in theory, it could be like if we're operating on only a 2-year timeline under what I believe to be a 2-year timeline. Who's to say that another season, another run through the transfer portal, another run into March, another run through the Big East, and will almost assuredly be another tough or a non-conference gauntlet. Who's to say that Greg McDermott isn't like, you know what? I could play some golf right now. I could play a
Yeah.
lot of golf, because there's just so much more to the job than a lot of these coaches signed up for. In Mac's instance, 20 some years ago, right? Especially at this level, it's just transformed into so much more than what it was. It's not just coaching anymore. So who's to say that after another year of that and how daunting all of that can be, that Greg McDermott wouldn't say, yeah, my guys here, we have the succession plan in place. Here you go. It
Yeah.
could absolutely happen, but I think it'll be sometime. I fully expect it to be sometime in the next couple of years for sure.
Just from the outside looking in, I mean, it would be really, and listen, this is just speculation, but it would be really hard to fathom more than one season for me, because I think about the Alan Huss aspect of it, because he's leaving a head coaching job to become an associate head coach. And I can't imagine a guy that is, like you pointed out, is winning, would be willing to wait more than one season. So I'm really intrigued to see if Mac decides to even make an announcement about that before the season starts.
I wouldn't think so. He could. I wouldn't think so, solely because I think as we saw through the Kirsten Bernthal Booth situation, like they probably just would have announced it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe they could. I just wouldn't expect that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I'm fully in the expectation. I talked to a couple of different people, and then you just think about it. It's like, yeah, why would Alan Huss leave to
Mm-hmm.
be an assistant for, I don't know, 3 seasons before he finally took over?
Yeah. Do you see this as a 1-to-1 change between Huss and McDermott, or are there some things that might look different on the floor?
I don't know about 1 for 1. Their offenses are a little bit different, but not enough for you to really notice. Like they're still fun, fast-paced, spaced out offenses that love to shoot. That's why the relationship worked so well with Huss on Mac's staff for 6 seasons previously, and obviously coming back now. And the thing that Creighton lost with Ryan Miller when he went to Murray State, he essentially quarterbacked the offense the past 2 seasons.
Before quarterbacking the defense.
Yeah. So he did the defense his first 2 seasons, and then did the offense the past 2 seasons. And so that's just another layer to this of why bringing Huss, of all people, back to the staff was such a good idea, because he was the quarterback of McDermott's offense when he was previously in Omaha. So you bring that, you get a guy who obviously knows McDermott's offense and can bring a little bit of adaptability of his own. And then Huss is just kind of a master recruiter from his time as on the high school ranks. Has connections to the East Coast now. Obviously has connections to UNLV. Has connections to the Midwest. So I mean, he can recruit, and it's not just in one specific region. Huss will recruit anywhere and everywhere and have some success with it. So I don't think it'll be a culture shock, just because at the end of the day, through and through, Huss is a J. But it'll be different for sure, especially once Mac officially passes the torch.
What do you think happens with Mitch Ballock now?
Yeah, it's tough because his 2 GA years are up, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I really don't know. I really have no clue. It'd be a shame to lose him, obviously. I don't like, he could stick around for sure if he wanted to. But he could go be an assistant somewhere, this, that, and the other after a couple of years as a GA, because he's got the basketball mind. I mean, you guys heard Mac talking about it this year, that Mitch would give him play suggestions, whether it was throughout the week or in game or whatever. So Mitch obviously has the mind of an up and coming coach, and it seems like that's what he wants to do.
You'll be surprised to know that Paige Beckers just went #1 overall in the WNBA draft. I'm sure.
No way.
I'm sure you never saw that coming in a plot twist.
Man, that's crazy.
Do you think that the decision to bring in a coach in waiting has anything to do with the portal situation now and the desire to keep the players on the roster that you have? I think by bringing in Huss a year or two early, you set yourself up better for keeping the guys that you have in the fold, because they have a chance to get to know him. They're going to play in his system essentially. And I just wonder what you think about that in terms of the current situation with so many portal entries.
Yeah, I do. I think it'll help. I really do. I don't think that was like a large part of the decision, though, candidly. Because I think so much of it was, okay, Huss was he wasn't in that very top tier of this year's coaching cycle, but he was kind of right there in the thick of tier 2. Because as we saw, once those premium jobs came open later in the cycle, not that he was a candidate for Villanova, but a lot of that had to, those dominoes with Villanova and Maryland and A&M. He talked to a lot of places. And so all of that to say, he undoubtedly would have been one of the top coaching candidates in next year's cycle. I think that he would have been to next cycle what DeVries was to this cycle.
Yeah,
I agree.
So a large part of that decision, I'll make it quick, is just you had to go get your guy essentially before somebody else did, so that you could have this succession plan set in place for a graceful and seamless exit once Mac retires.
We're catching up with John Walker from the Omaha World Herald here on the After Hours Lounge. Creighton lands Austin Schwartz, the Miami transfer, a former top 100 nationally ranked high school player. What does he, a 6'3" guard, bring to this year's squad?
Well, so he's 6'4" and 200. So he's he gives them quite a bit of size at the 2.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of has the same, not build by any stretch of the imagination, but has the same height as Trey Alexander, and has a little bit more weight on him too. So he can handle it quite a bit. I think he'll play the 2, but in certain situations he can handle it some. But he just gives them, you can't really recruit anybody when it comes to the portal, but he's a developmental piece who can really thrive from a change of scenery. Um, Again, not the same player, but he just I tweeted this yesterday. He reminds me so much of Jemiah Neal as a portal prospect. Again, not
Mhm.
play whatsoever, not at all. But solely
Just
for
a
the
ton of upside.
yeah, they had tumultuous runs elsewhere. Jemiah only had one season of real opportunity at Arizona State. The system just like isn't much of a system. Wasn't when Jemiah was there anyway. And then obviously Larinaga retired mid-season and Miami dealt with that and this and that and the other. And so yeah, I just think he could really benefit from a change of scenery. I think his efficiency will improve. I think his decision making will improve. But the upside's there, guys. I mean, he can let it fly from anywhere. He can hit from anywhere, more importantly. And he gives them a little bit of that bounciness in transition, like Jemiah kind of brought him this year.
That's John Walker and Ovi from the Omaha World Herald. If you missed their segment tonight, check it out. Oh, wait, before we get you out of here, I'm sorry. Are you
That's
a
okay.
Yankees
Please
fan?
do.
Are you a Yankees fan?
Yeah, I
Come
am.
on, man. Okay,
Yeah, I am.
we
How
got.
about
There's a
that?
lot. The
There's too many.
the YouTube and the Twitter comments are going nuts. I think we may have broke news to the Omaha area. So
Maybe. Here we go. There we go.
there you go, Ovi. We'll see you next
There's
week. But
Ovi.
that's John Walker from the Omaha World Herald. Ovi doesn't have a Twitter page yet, but I'm sure we'll get him there. Check out John's work at Buy John Walker on Twitter or buy yourself a subscription to Omaha.com. John, we'll catch up with you next week. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Go Yanks.
If you missed the Yankee Lover John Walker segment, check it out at soundcloud.com/after hours 1620. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort, a brand new look for Controlled Comfort. Same old reliability with a new logo. Check out their new website at controlledcomfort.com today and get a maintenance appointment set up on your HVAC system. They're going to take a look at your heater and make sure it's ready to go for next winter. They're going to take a look at your AC and make sure it's ready to go for Tuesday. Check out controlledcomfort.com for more details tonight. We'll be right back talking about a former Nebraska Cornhusker here on 1620 The Zone.
In the dark, the dark, the dark, the dark.
Hey, everybody. John Schreiner here for Paul Davis Restoration. Hey, were you driving home today? Maybe you're driving home right now. You see those clouds in the sky? They're starting to get dark off to the north. Well, those clouds are going to get only bigger as the spring rolls along, and those clouds are going to bring with them some severe storms. And if your basement has some issues, maybe you're worried about some damp walls, maybe you got even a little bit of water in the basement last year, don't wait. Get Paul Davis in there to fix the damage that may be in your home already, or if it happens during one of those big storms this year, you need Paul Davis on your side. They're going to come in. They're going to deal with any mold situations, any moisture in the basement. They're going to get that fixed up and restored to its previous condition before you ever had any trouble. They're going to get you back to the way it should be, and that is a clean and dry basement. Call Paul Davis Restoration today at 402-553-0373.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space.
6:51 on a Monday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Head over to bellevue.edu, register for classes, become a Bruin tonight.
He'll always be CeeLo to me.
You know what? If you leave your previous employer, you probably shouldn't badmouth them. If you transfer schools, you probably shouldn't badmouth that
bad
school.
Form.
My question in the social media soundbite tonight, which Dan's about to play, is: was this badmouthing? Let's go ahead and play it, Dan.
Okay.
So Husker Twitter was going nuts this weekend about this interview. I didn't find one thing he said insulting or demeaning or a derogatory comment towards anybody that is or was a former Nebraska football player.
Well, how many times does he have to caveat what he's saying? How many times does he have to give a disclaimer?
Because he's been in the fishbowl and he knows what's he knew what was coming. Now, could he have just said, "Hey, listen, there's a lot of talent in both locker rooms. Nebraska's going to be just fine. We've got a lot of dudes down here in Tallahassee." Yes, he absolutely could have said that. People were acting like he called Ty Robinson Bo Davis. Like, he literally said the guy should be a first-round draft pick, not a second-round guy, and said he was still big, but not as big as the guy he was describing, which, by the way, is accurate. It's just a truthful statement.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Well, we're getting our undergarments in a twist over essentially nothing. It's off-season podcast talk. Like, it's nothing.
More
it doesn't
importantly,
mean
it's a guy that
anything.
left talking about it.
And honestly, like stop and think about it for a second. And this is a thing that, like, I've started to think about this recently, and it has to do with perceived disrespect, right? And I have a theory about respect, right? Like, if you respect yourself, then you shouldn't really care whether someone else respects you or not, right? If you have enough respect for your own self, then the outside world shouldn't penetrate that. It's a nice thing when people respect you. It's a good thing to have. But, like, honestly, if someone acts disrespectfully to you, that person doesn't know what respect is, and why would you want their respect in the first place? It's a non-starter for me. Like, don't worry about this.
Dan, you look like you had a thought, and I kind of cut you off. Did you want to weigh in?
Yeah, this is it. I mean, you both already touched on it. Basically.
Okay, I thought you were disagreeing with us. That's what.
No. This is just off-season bullcrap. And
thank you.
What is James Williams? I know. I'm thinking of my
Jamison Williams.
I'm thinking of Jamison Williams and Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Thinking of all the names, especially because we're talking about FSU. But he's doing his best not to disparage Nebraska, while at the same time on an FSU-related podcast is praising the school that he's now at. He's towing the line in the way that it's supposed to be towed for an athlete. And also, to Jimmy's point, who cares? He doesn't play for Nebraska anymore. And secondly,
that's what most people are mad about, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Secondly, both both of the guys that he's like going at by name and is like calling out and is like giving as examples, they're literally both almost the same exact size. That's the funny thing here is he's like, they got big guys at Nebraska. They got big guys at FSU. It's a different kind of big guy, though. They eat
corn,
crawfish down in the South, and they eat corn in Nebraska.
He also
Terrence Knighton defended him too, just tweeting that James Williams can talk about whoever he wants, which is true, by the way.
Yeah,
he can.
True.
But you know what he did? Said nice things about both universities.
He was getting really close to the I'm from UCLA. For those of you who don't know, that's in Los Angeles territory.
Here's the thing. Here's one more thing that I'll say. How many times have you heard a player who transfers to Nebraska talk about how much better the facilities and the support is at Nebraska than where they came from? And nobody got mad about it.
Right.
Like you didn't bat an eyelash when someone said like, hey man, the facilities here are second to none. We're getting tremendous support. The nutrition staff is just something I've never experienced before, which is essentially what James Williams is saying just about players instead. And there's nobody bats an eye when a player who transfers in says that. It's thin-skinned perceived disrespect, and we need to get over that.
I'm so disappointed in you guys. I thought you guys were going to tell me wrong. I was ready to yell at you.
No.
Hey, if you missed the social media soundbite, want to hear us calmly discuss like mild-mannered gentlemen, listen to it at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Are you the decision maker in your company? Google your business. Do you like what you see right now? Does your company even show up? You could fix all of that at pixelfiremarketing.com. Let them manage your Google business profile, put you at the top of search engine optimization, and design you award-winning website. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details tonight. Dan Campanen talks about 135 more days when we come back on 1620 The Zone.
Thank God for mom and dad for sticking together, 'cause we don't know how.
Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for AX Plumbing. Locally owned, AX Plumbing can come out and fix all of your plumbing issues like they did for me. They replaced the wax ring underneath the toilet in my upstairs bathroom so it didn't leak on the top of our ceiling on our first level anymore. They came out and they snaked the drain from our main line all the way out to our street so we don't have backups anymore. If you're a brand new homeowner and you have questions about your plumbing, head over to axpservice.com tonight to get all of your long-term plumbing issues fixed before you even move into your house. Check out axpservice.com for more details tonight.
I'm the reason for the things I
Top of the second hour here on
feel.
1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Book a free estimate for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your siding. They can do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com tonight. It's time for Buy or Sell with Dan Campanen. Got a lot of questions that somehow he's going to find a way to work in a question about the Colorado Buffaloes and their jerseys somehow in the Buy or Sell side. Dan?
I'm going to do my best. To be fair, I don't really care, but I'll do my best. We're only 135 days away from Nebraska and Kansas City at Arrowhead to take on Cincinnati.
Don't say only. That's a long time.
Only. We are only.
We're only 135 days away.
What was the question, Dan?
I don't know. We're 135 days away from Nebraska football taking the field against Cincinnati, and maybe most importantly, year 3 of Matt Rule. Buy or sell, you feel the best about this version of the previous 2 Matt Rule-led teams.
It's kind of hard not to, right? I mean, you have an established quarterback. You're returning your leading rusher. You've added 2 pretty big targets at the wide receiver room. Now, you did that a year ago. Didn't really pan out. But you have Dana Holgorsen on the staff as well. And the size and the speed of this defense looks really, really impressive. I would say yes. I would say I feel better about this iteration of this team heading into year 3 than I have any of the 2 previous seasons.
Yeah, I'm certainly, when it comes time, going to be picking them to win more games than I have in the past 2. So I guess that would be
10-2, John.
Nope.
10-2.
Nope, that's not it.
11-1.
But
you heard it here first.
So I guess that's an indicator that I would feel better about them than I have in the past. Yeah, so I buy. I think I do feel a little bit better. I feel more comfortable about the staff that they have, and I think that's very important.
Which is weird. They're replacing the DC.
I mean, I don't feel like. Initially, I felt like the loss of Tony White was going to be a huge loss. Now I'm just feeling like it's a moderate loss after like hearing John Butler and seeing how he conducts himself and some of the additions they've made in the portal and those things.
Well, and on the coaching staff too.
Yeah, so I
mean, I love Phil Simpson. I think that was an absolute home run hire.
So I think I definitely feel the best about any of the 3 teams right now.
I buy the Jimmy and John's point. It's like every position got better and every position.
Ooh. Every position?
But most positions got better in some form or some way.
I think the only one that's going to take a step back,
DT,
is the defensive tackle.
Yeah,
position.
well, I mean,
but Riley Van Poppel showed a lot of promise. I mean, that one goal line stop he hadn't. Granted, that's one game. And
are you classifying Keona Davis as a defensive tackle?
Right, and that's going to be the other part of that equation is what does a defensive tackle at Nebraska look like?
Well, technically, there's only one.
Yeah,
you have in a three down lineman
right,
system.
but I think the point Brody is making is, are they going to start rotating guys? Like, are we only going to see guys play the nose tackle position? Like, because when you look at what Nash was, I mean, he probably should have been a defensive tackle, but the fact is that he played on the outside because you had.
No, he played in the middle most of the time.
Well, I mean, like him and Ty would rotate. Like, is that a thing we're going to see going forward, or is it going to be one of those things that there's going to be a certified? Because when you add a guy like Williams Nawarney to the discussion, like, granted he's slimmed his body up a little bit, maybe isn't going to be a 3-0 technique in the middle guy, but it just kind of feels like all of the guys that they have could play all 3 spots on the D line.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out.
And I do not know what to make of that defensive back room. Like, there's a lot of talent, but what is it?
Oh, dude, I feel the position group outside of quarterback that I feel best about is the DBs.
No, like I agree.
Really?
There's just a lot of talent. And I mean, listen, when you have John Butler, Phil Snow, and Matt Rule, you're going to be able to figure out your defensive back rotation. I just really wonder what that rotation is going to look like and who's going to be at which spot. Like, we obviously a lot of question marks about Bly Hill coming back for another year. You've got both those freshmen that played in the bowl game taking big steps this offseason and projected to get more playing time this year. Where does McCullough line up at? Is he a linebacker? Does he play in the defensive back area? Like, there's so many different guys that have different body types that could play in different spots.
Agreed.
Dan?
I just got 2 words for you. Rob Dvorak.
Yeah.
He's going to have the big dogs in his linebacking court cleaning up a lot of mess this year.
I agree.
And I look forward to it. Moving on, Timmy, the Kirkjian, believes that Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in baseball. Buy or sell that Skeens, in his second year in the majors, is the ace of all aces.
I sell. I mean, listen, does he have the size and the velocity to be in that discussion? Absolutely.
And the wicked mustache.
And I've heard his girlfriend's
And the
pretty.
splinker.
Great name for a pitch.
His ERA is above where it was at this point a year ago. He just gave up the most hits he's ever given up in a game. Like, are the major leagues catching up to Paul Skeens? Is he having a sophomore slump, Dan? Your favorite terminology. But he does have 20.
Actually, a sophomore.
Well, he does have 20 Ks through this part of the season. I mean, he's definitely in the top 5 discussion. I'm not willing to put him number 1.
Oh, who's number 1 then?
That's what I was going to say.
There's a couple of different options right now, and
Cole Reagans, KC.
I think there's
Zach Wheeler, Philadelphia.
Hold on. If you're going to ask me the question, let me answer, because I think we're going to have a discussion this year. I think even with the torpedo bat discussion we're having now, I think we're going to have discussions about the renaissance of the pitcher by the end of the year.
You know who's leading the majors in ERA right now?
Oh, yeah.
Is it
Nebraska Cornhusker Spencer Schwellenbach.
There you go. Remember when he played shortstop?
Schwelly.
No, I think it's Paul Skeens. I just I think the hesitancy for a young player of he's played all of half of a season in the majors at this point. I understand, but you got to trust your eyes sometimes. And there's nobody throwing the ball like him. Yeah, he had a bad outing last time, but come on.
They famously play a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's
in Major
the
League Baseball.
dude as far as pitchers go.
I mean, he's
right
clearly
now.
the future. I just don't know if I'd put him number 1.
I think he's the dude right now.
I think he's the
And
dude.
it's one of those things too, especially for a second year pitcher, for as hot and fiery as he was on the scene last year. He's going to have a couple times this year where he is just going to get shelled, and it's going to show a little bit. But I think he's got the confidence and let's just put it out there on Front Street. The weirdest demeanor
True.
of anyone, where it
Little bit
just
of weird
seems
dude,
like he's just flat across the line,
Very
drinks
odd,
a protein shake, slams a shot of honey, and just goes on about his day.
You can tell he used to be at Air Force, the way he is, his demeanor, part of the military in some way.
Oh, yeah.
And his mustache.
That's true. Don't look now. But Ty Lue has the Clippers as the 5th seed in the West. They've traded Paul George, got Kawhi back healthy. Buy or sell that the Clippers could be the team to be reasoned with in the West.
That says reckoned if it's spelled correctly.
Reconned. That's how I recon.
Listen, there's being a lot being made about this because Kawhi is playing really, really well, and we've seen if Kawhi Leonard could put on a performance to be discussed as one of the best players in basketball, he can throw a team on his back and will them to an NBA championship. I don't think that's this team. Everybody can get their hopes up and think that the Kawhi that was in Toronto is back. I don't think that's the case. I don't think the Clippers have a shot in hell of winning the NBA title.
I don't think they're going to win their first round series against the Nuggets. Honestly,
well, I mean, it kind of depends. Are the Nuggets that
Nuggets
played the last 20 games showing up, or is Nikola Jokic going to kind of put his team on his back and will them to another NBA championship?
That's my point exactly.
Yeah.
Is they've got a big task just to get out of that 4 or 5 matchup,
literally and figuratively.
No, I don't think they are a force to be reckoned with.
They have a really good rotation. They have some dudes in that lineup. Norman Powell.
Are they a force to be reconned with, though?
I don't know. I mean,
somebody better be doing some recon
compared to the Nuggets, and then whoever, I can't remember who they'll have in round 2. It'll be the 1 or the 8, right?
Yeah, it'll be 1 or 8 in their round. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think they're going to make it past the first round, even the second round.
No, yeah, it's a tough task. Not having Paul George took away a lot of their length, even though Paul George is kind of a lazy basketball player just in general. And having Kawhi back healthy, while great, is a matter of how is he going to mesh with a James Harden-led team while he's been out.
Sure.
So that's always always a rough one to be reckoned with. I actually would disagree with everyone in this room. I think they could actually win their first round series because Denver is got some weird crapola going on right now that no one seems to explain and that no one in that team locker room wants to currently address. So that's getting everyone a little bit hot and bothered under the collar up there in Denver. And
the Clippers have your close personal best friend, James Harden, on it.
that's true. Me and Jim
People forget.
go way back.
People forget.
Speaking of close personal friends, Micah Parsons has not attended the last 2 Cowboys offseason workouts. Parsons is present at Cowboys OTAs. Jerry Jones says that he doesn't know Micah's agent's name and that they're going to get a deal done without David, guy with a cool last name, who's Micah Parsons' agent.
Margoletta.
Oh, thank you. Buy or sell that Jerry Jones should not be dealing with agents.
This is a horrible way to do business. I understand that Jerry's got more money than he cares about and feels like he can operate however he wants to, but this is how you get into the situation that the Cowboys have been in for the better part of 2 decades. Do it the right way. Do business with the people that are trying to do business with you. Get your team back in order, Jerry.
Well, Jerry's also like he takes on so much of the GM role with that team. So to say that he shouldn't be dealing with agents, I think is like, what should he be doing then?
Malpractice?
Like he's not going to stop doing GM stuff. Like that's his favorite part his favorite part is not being the owner. His favorite part is like simulating seasons on Madden. That's what he likes to do. He's like make trades and do deals. So like Jerry Jones, like if he's not dealing with agents, I don't know what it is. What is it that you say you do here?
Yeah, it's just normal.
Bought yourself a real big TV.
Right.
Normal Jerry Jones every day at the office type of thing. I think what he's doing.
Yeah, it's about time that Jerry looks internally and says, I mention all the time that it's not sunshine and glory holes around here. And, oh no, I could be the reason for that.
That will never happen.
Oh, me some glory hole.
It's not all sunshine and glory holes around here, boys.
Dan, what do you got about the Colorado Buffaloes for us?
Oh, Colorado Buffaloes, famously in Boulder, their colors are black and gold, and so are their uniforms, which they're retiring. Travis Hunter and that other guy who's
Shedeur
the
Sanders.
son of the quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quarterback, who didn't go to the NFL draft or anything like that. Who cares about him? They're retiring their numbers. Buy or sell that Colorado should be retiring Shedeur and Travis's 2 and 12.
12, sure. You could get me there. It's a Heisman Trophy. It's arguably one of the best college football players of all time. He's done things that we've never seen done before. The level of snaps that he played on either side of the football. Okay, you can retire 12. The hell did Shedeur Sanders do to deserve to have his number retired?
He set some records.
Yeah.
Cool. You know what he didn't do? Didn't get you to the college football playoff. Didn't really win any game of substance. Okay, he just threw for a bunch of yards. Great. He win any trophies for it? No. He win any championships for it? No.
Did he not win the whatever the quarterback one is?
The Jim Thorpe?
Is that the Thorpe Award? No.
Yeah, it is. The Jim Thorpe Award is the best.
Oh, the Davey O'Brien.
O'Brien.
Jim Thorpe is the best athlete.
I was going to say, I feel like Jim Thorpe doesn't get the quarterback award.
No, it's the Davey O'Brien Golden Arm Award.
Did he not win that this year? I thought he won some quarterback award. Or was Dion making all the ruckus about Shedeur not winning every single thing?
I mean,
Best water boy in college football.
No, Cam Ward won the best quarterback award.
That's fair. All right. Yeah. By the way, retire Travis Hunter's number. I'm in complete agreement with this room. Shedeur doesn't need his number retired.
Hey, can I just make a public service announcement? Stop retiring numbers. Don't do this anymore. Stop it. This is a ridiculous tradition that we do in sports. Just because one person wore that number, it doesn't mean that nobody should ever be able to wear it again.
Ryan Kalkbrenner would like Jackson McAndrew to wear 11 next year, by the way.
Please do.
Yeah, please.
Stop retiring numbers.
You can live.
Especially
you can hear him say that on
New
the
York Yankees.
You can hear him say that on the Roll Jays podcast,
Lord.
by the way.
And especially now, as someone who broadcasts games for part of my living, like double numbers are horrible. It is the worst trend in sports that teams have multiple players with the same number. And you're only making it worse by saying, well, nobody can wear this number. Nobody can wear this number. Like, don't do this. Don't do it anymore.
You
Stop
can put it in the rafters without retiring it, by the way.
It doesn't mean that nobody can wear it anymore.
Hey, if you want to figure out why we hate retired jerseys, check it out. SoundCloud.com/after-hours-1620. It was brought to you by Controlled Comfort. While you're checking out our SoundCloud page, head over to controlledcomfort.com and check out their new website as well. New logo, new website, same old 60 years experience with HVAC. Head over to controlledcomfort.com. Get the maintenance appointment set up on your HVAC unit. They'll replace the furnace filter for you. They'll take a look at your AC and make sure it's ready for the warm days, and they'll make sure the furnace is good to go. Because it's Nebraska and the temperature's randomly going to drop on us here in the next couple of days anyway. So head over to controlledcomfort.com. Get the maintenance appointment set up on your HVAC today. We'll be right back. Speaking of Shedeur Sanders, where do we have him going in the NFL draft? A question I asked Dan Campen on the other side of the break. 1620 zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Bob Williams with Williams Law. If you have a loved one that's facing legal charges, maybe it's not necessarily you, maybe your son or daughter has gotten out of the house and gotten into a little bit of trouble now that the warm weather has shown up. Maybe they're a friend of Brody Heideman's. We know that Brody makes bad decisions. You don't want that in your life. Have your son or daughter represented by somebody that makes good decisions. That's Bob with Williams Law. He's going to sit you and your family down, explain your rights, walk you through the litigation process, and get you ready for your big day at court. If your son or daughter is finding themselves in some legal trouble, head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com tonight and get a free, no obligation legal consultation with Williams Law tonight. $7:20 on a Monday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Pyramid Contractors. Head over to pyramidroof.com. Book a free estimate for your windows, your roof, your gutters, your siding. They can do it all. Check out pyramidroof.com and book yourself an estimate today. Before we get into the NFL draft, can I just rant for a minute? We need to leave.
Your name's on the show.
We need to leave traditions alone. Listen, I know it's been happening for a couple of years now, but the fact that WrestleMania is 2 days, not just on Sunday, it's crying shame. Just have one day on Sundays. Move back to the way it was. Don't fix what's not broken. That's my thought. The NFL.
I wish I could disagree with you.
Yeah, like. Also on that same line, most national championship games are played on Monday. Let the national championship for college hockey be played on Monday then. Don't bury it on Saturday behind the Masters and the other events happening that weekend.
Ooh.
Especially when you have those big marquee national championships that get put on Monday when nothing's happening on Saturday. So stupid to me.
Yeah, I don't like the Monday national championship game. I feel like, I want to watch it with my kid, and he's got to go to bed basically as the thing is getting started. It's just, it kind of sucks. Put it on Saturday. Why can't we do that? Or here's a thought: Sunday afternoon. Why
I don't
not?
know. I kind of hate that the Super Bowl happens in that time. So I like the Super Bowl to be a little later.
I mean, personally, I see it both ways because I like having it on Monday as an adult because I get the opportunity to be like, I can stay up late and watch this.
Dan, how many kids you got?
0.
There you go.
And so that was the other thing I was going to say is I sympathize with the two of you and also remembering being a child,
John and Brody,
and being like, I am going to fall asleep in the middle of this basketball game that I really want to watch. Like 08, North Carolina. Was
Tyler
a huge
Hansbrough.
Tar Heels fan as a kid. Loved Tyler Hansbrough. I fell asleep in the middle of that game because it was past my bedtime.
You're a very old man at heart, Dan Capen.
Yes.
The NFL draft is 10 days away.
That's
and
crazy.
It is. It feels like it's flown by, man. But as we're reveling in the WNBA draft on the TV here, we are 10 days away from what looks like Cam Ward being the number 1 overall pick to Tennessee. We've been very vocal. We're both in lockstep on this, so we don't think there's really a generational quarterback in this draft.
No.
And it really surprises me with a guy like Abdul Carter, a guy like Travis Hunter that feel like they could be generational players, that, again, we're going to see a quarterback go number 1 overall. How many quarterbacks do you think go in the first round?
I think it's 3. I think Shedeur and Jackson Dart are both going in the first round. Jackson Dart somewhere down the line at the back end, probably. Maybe somebody jumping back up into the first round.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's not a super deep quarterback draft. Like you have the 2 of Shedeur and Cam Ward, and then there's a second tier with like Jackson Dart, and then it's hard. It's really hard to name guys after that who you think could even be candidates to be in the first round.
I'm going to let you in on a fun little.
You don't put Quinn Ewers in that discussion?
I don't think he's a first round candidate.
No
I don't think
way.
anybody's jumping into the first round for him.
I got a little fun prediction for you, though, John. I think 3 in the first round because someone is going to panic buy on a Jackson Dart probably, or even maybe a Quinn Ewers. I do see someone panic buying and saying he's tall, he's big, he's strong.
I think he's good, and I think he's going to have a decent career.
I have a feeling that the panickiest of panic buys, early round 2.
Oh,
someone
for sure.
is going to walk up to that podium and they're going to say the name, we're drafting Will Howard from Ohio State.
I'll double down on that. I think Jalen Milroe is going to get a reach pick.
People are going to they've fallen in love with his athleticism.
Jalen Milroe, that's what I'm saying. Like this is the time of the year where somebody goes, man, he's fast. Go and run the card up there real quick.
Yeah, there's some quarterbacks. Tyler Show. He could also go pretty high. Okay, that's how you say it.
Well, and Kyle McCord's still in the discussion.
Well.
One name that we have not mentioned that I don't think gets mentioned on any of the draft days.
Whoa.
DJ Ogulele is in this draft class.
Ugh.
Who?
And he's going to go from being the number 1 prospect coming out of high school to possibly undrafted as a quarterback.
I don't think it's possibly. I think it's definitely.
Yeah, I don't see. Like, I think I would take Will Rogers over him. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, the guys that are probably going to be 6, 7 round guys.
Yeah.
Riley Leonard's going to be in that discussion.
Well, the dude from Memphis, Seth Hennigan.
Yeah. I would take him over DJ for sure.
Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, well, that's like a late second, early third round guy, in my opinion. I think Kyle McCord is the most interesting guy, though, because I think he's the guy that didn't get the talent around him that you get at like Ohio State didn't have their freshman wide receiver yet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't really have that star-studded class that Will Howard had.
Yeah.
And it's still Ohio State talent. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really intrigued to see what he looks like at the NFL level.
Kyle McCord's going to be like a 5th or a 6th round pick.
Whoa. You think he'll drop that far?
Yes,
Yep.
Absolutely.
I
He's
do.
going to.
You want to know why, Brody?
Why?
Because NFL front offices
He didn't have Jeremiah Smith to throw
are
to.
full of fools.
Well,
And because they see the small little Syracuse school and they say, probably not. And so they just ignore him until they're like, well, we need to fill up our quarterback class and we need to bring in some competition. Bring in Kyle McCord.
Dan, this is the part where I remind you that Trey Lance with the
that's what I was going to say. North Dakota State, famously 2
guys,
top 5 quarterbacks.
There's at least a decent chance that for the first time in almost as long as I can remember, there might be as many running backs taken in the first round as there are quarterbacks.
Right.
Because
it's a great running back class, man.
If Jackson Dart gets passed over, Ashton Junty and Omarion Hampton are going in the first round.
100%.
I think they're going in the first round, even if Jackson Dart doesn't.
Well, I'm saying if Jackson, I don't think Trayvon Henderson's going first round. So when you get down to that third back, I don't think there's a third running back that's going to go in the first. I think there's 2, and I think there's probably like 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks that go in the first.
You know who might be like the most intriguing weapon piece though of that first round? Emeka Ibuka, because he seems like a guy that could go somewhere in the top 15 or possibly slide out of the first round. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's obviously so many wide receivers that are available, and there's not a lot of need in the first round this year. Like it's going to be really interesting to see what he ends up at.
I am praying that Mel Kiper's big board is wrong for the Packers, and they just all of a sudden
go with the best available.
Emeka slips right into their lap, and we say, "Come on, buddy!
A lot of people
ready to be the number 1 option."
A lot of people think he's either going to end up in Kansas City or Houston. And by the way, Dan, those are the 2 picks after Green Bay, so there's a good chance he's right there and readily available.
We got a really strong night shift tonight, but I want to call out one of our buddies, friend of the program, BA Coach's Show. Ben Audie's in the chat.
Shout out to Ben Audie.
And he says this draft is weak at quarterback. And look, BA can't say I disagree, man. It's not strong,
especially after like the performance Will Howard had at the combine and how bad it was.
True.
Like and I think a lot of people thought he could be that 3rd or 4th quarterback option. That killed that dream. At least you got a national championship. But hey, if you missed our NFL draft discussion, check it out at soundcloud.com/after-hours1620. Head over to our SoundCloud page and check it out. It's brought to you by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, the premier suit buying experience in the Midwest. I got my wedding suit at Jerry Ryan. Dan Campton got his wedding suit at Jerry Ryan. You can get your wedding suit and all of your groomsmen's wedding suits at Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. You don't have to rent it. You could buy it, own it forever, use it for multiple purposes. Check out Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear at 78th Dodge. They've been dressing Omaha for over 50 years. Our last names in Tennessee hard to pronounce. We debated the other side of the break. 1620 zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Pepper Jack's Grill. We've been telling you for a long time that Pepper Jack's has all of the options you could hope for. Whether you're trying to eat healthy, whether you're trying to get more protein, but guess what? They even have more options now. That's right. Pepper Jack's has added more sides to their menus. They've got onion rings. They've got jalapeno poppers. They've got cheese curds. It's the Midwest specialty. Stop by Pepper Jack's Grill. 10 great locations in Omaha. Grab some new sides tonight. .34 on a Monday night here on 1620 The Zone. Brought to you by Pyramid Contractors, where we solve all of the world's problems. But if you need your roof, windows, gutters, or siding solved, head over to pyramidroof.com. Get a free estimate today. Nico, our good friend Nico,
Amaleava
is out of Knoxville. He's leaving Tennessee because he asked for a bigger bag. And apparently the athletic department at Tennessee listens to this show because they took our advice from last week and told him to go pound sand. Is this a market correction? Do we think that this is the future and more discussions like this start happening versus kowtowing and asking donors for more money to get yourself a good quarterback?
Well, I think it can be strategic, right? Like if there's a team in your conference who says they're going to offer one of your players loads and loads of money.
There's something going on out there.
Such as they tell your quarterback they're going to give him $4 million. I think at some point you have to say, all right, spend $4 million on your quarterback. Good luck having the rest of a roster.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Well, especially with revenue share coming. And that's what's going to be so interesting about these discussions going forward, right? Is obviously we all expect some sort of representation for the players to step in at some point. But is rev sharing going to take place over these conversations? Or is the outside NIL money going to be such a talking point still? Because nobody's expecting that to go away. Like revenue sharing is just going to raise the dollar amount, not necessarily lower or change the discussion. You're still going to have outside donors. And I know everybody's saying, well, at some point, everybody's going to get sick of spending that money. Donor basis has been around for as long as college athletics has been a thing.
Yep. But I do agree to some regard that there's no infinite money code. Like there's no like
up, down, left, right, A, B,
yeah.
A, B.
You can't open console commands and type in infinite money and suddenly you can just pay whatever you want. Like there's going to be a limit to how much that these schools can sustain. And there's going to be a max. There's going to be a top dollar.
Here's the thing, though.
And we may have reached it now.
See, you say that. But, I think about Jeremy Pruitt and the McDonald's bags full of cash. I think about Rhett Bomar. And
that wasn't $4 million in that McDonald's bag.
Do we know that for sure?
You can't fit $4 million in a McDonald's bag, Jimmy.
Ooh. Yeah, McDonald's bags, plural. Like the fact that this money, I think the reason we look at it this way is because we're seeing the dollar amounts finally. Has this what college athletics' price points have been forever?
No.
I don't think you could
believe
I
that.
don't think you could say that for sure. Like there's no way you could say that for sure because Rhett Bomar, when he was punching in to that car dealership, was getting paid $7,000 an hour.
Okay.
He probably sold a lot of cars. They work on commission.
No, he would come in and punch in, leave, and then come back and punch out. I know, I got it. But listen, I just, when you talk about, when you have Matt Rule walk up to a podium and go, a good quarterback's going to cost you $1 million these days.
Yeah.
You think that's a number he just started noticing in the market?
Yes.
There's no way. There's no possible way.
I think he had conversations with quarterbacks who said, it's $1 million for me to come to your school. That's what I think happened.
Which we're just assuming that wasn't happening beforehand. There weren't.
I don't think the numbers were that big.
Special requests.
I don't think the numbers were quite that big.
Dude, Terrell Pryor and the top 4 guys in Ohio State's recruiting class that year showed up on campus day one in Bentleys.
Do you know how much a Bentley actually costs?
Yeah, that's true.
In 2010?
Yeah, in 2010.
Let's look it up, shall we, Dan? How much do you think a Bentley in 2010 cost?
Probably about $100,000.
I'd say less
minimum.
than that.
No, they're like $250.
$250.
They weren't going in the top of the line Bentley. Terrell Pryor didn't prove nothing.
$182,000. So that's a purchase he made. That's one purchase.
How do you know that he bought it?
Yeah, how do we know that he bought it, wasn't leasing it, wasn't doing something?
Could have been donated from the school.
Yeah.
And how do you know
Old
that
sweater
Terrell Pryor
vests.
didn't spend his entire bag on a Bentley?
True.
Probably because he had a diamond watch too.
Yeah, and the earring and listen. Well,
Oh, no,
apparently
no.
he needed the money. Apparently he spent all his money somewhere because he needed the money from the autograph signing and the gold pants by the time he was done in Columbus. So you guys might be onto something
I'm
here.
gonna say he got tattooed for the earrings, didn't he?
Yeah, that's a good point.
BA doesn't think you're crazy.
Well, I mean, that's because Ben's a smart person. Whoa. But it's
But fair.
I'm really intrigued about the situation in Tennessee because what does it look like if he does leave and does go get what he's asking for from a UCLA, from a Maryland, a school that has it, a school that needs a quarterback, a school that is in.
Can Maryland give him $4 million though?
Let me tell you about this brand called Under Armour.
Yeah.
Oh, I know about Under Armour.
This is where it does get interesting though, Jimmy, because if he leaves, if he finds success, and by success I mean the bag and the amount of money that he was looking for at Tennessee, does that automatically make every single quarterback this next year who makes the college football playoff?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make them all go, hey, this is what a quarterback is worth apparently? You going to pay up or you going to shut up?
It doesn't do, like, honestly. Like,
does it hurt Tennessee's
negotiations? If we're looking at this from the 30,000-foot view, it does nobody any good if anyone pays him $4 million. That hurts everyone because it resets the market. If everyone just says, like, line in the sand, we're not paying you $4 million, and waits, he's going to have to settle for a smaller amount somewhere.
Josh Pate reported earlier today that Nico almost sat out of the college football playoff game against Ohio State because of contract negotiations.
That's goofy.
In the game, he went 14 of 31, 104 passing yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. The Vols famously got beat by the eventual national champions 42-17. If he gets that money, if somebody, if whether it's UCLA, whether it's Maryland, whoever it is, the next crop of quarterbacks is going to go, man, that low second-rate Big Ten school gave him that, and I'm the starting quarterback at Miami, and we're on the verge of knocking on the door of the college football playoff, and it's week 10.
Hold on. Isn't Carson Beck getting paid like $3 million?
It's probably more than that.
So you're saying,
but he's hold on. So the reason I bring up Miami,
what you're intimating here
is this is his last chance to get said bag. How much is it worth for you to go pay me to go play for a national championship? Because, man, my left ankle really hurts today. And there's nothing in place that is stopping them from doing that.
Yeah. And again, this is why contracts need to be a thing. Where could you, like, because this could happen in the NFL too.
Yeah, it does all the time. Guys hold out of OTAs.
They hold out of
camp.
off-season training camp to say, not getting paid enough, and I want an extension. And if you're not going to give me an extension, then you need to trade me.
I don't play here anymore. Yeah, but I'm not surprised to hear that almost happened. I'm more surprised that he played. Because if you really felt like you could get that money, that's your bargaining chip. You guys want to play for a national title? Hey, I was a preseason Heisman hopeful.
I know it's unpalatable. I understand that at this point. But honestly, like, we have to adjust our thinking to this new reality. We have to, yes, worry about the problems that could crop up, but understand that those same problems happen in the NFL, and they're coming to college football. You are going to see players hold out of spring ball. You're going to see players ask for a release and enter they're already entering the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So, like, don't worry about that. Free agency has come to college football. But you're like, if you love college football and you want to continue to be a fan of it, you're going to have to adjust your thinking a little bit about how this all works now.
Can I ask the dumb question real fast?
Usually do.
Are we just in the same cycle that we've always been in with college athletics, but most importantly with college football, of like something slightly changes, we don't know how to handle it, we can't figure out how to handle it, we figured out how to handle it, oh no, it changed again.
Yeah, but I think the discussion we're having right now about Nico And a guy that I can't believe hasn't been brought up more throughout this football season and more importantly, offseason, is a guy like Matthew Sluka, who left UNLV mid-season, was like, well,
after 3 games.
Yeah, like played 3 games, 3-0, and didn't get what he was supposed to be paid, allegedly, and left the school. Does that become more the norm? Or,
Well, honestly,
is it happening more often and kids are just getting paid?
I think a lot of people, denigrated Matthew Sluka before they knew the whole story.
Agreed.
And like, honestly, Jimmy, like, think about yourself, and you who is
I'm a
out
big
there
deal.
in listener land. Think about yourself.
And in the night shift.
If you showed up to a job, and after 3 weeks, you get your paycheck, and it's half of what you agreed to be paid for those 3 weeks, wouldn't you say, "Hey, payroll department, we need to fix this"? And the payroll department says, "No, that's what we're paying you. There's no more money. Sorry, that's what you're getting." How long would you work there?
Yeah, everybody would leave. Everybody would. But the fact that he's a quarterback and he should just do it for the love of the game. But how much different is that than what we're talking about what happened at Tennessee? Like, hey, we agreed upon X amount of dollars. We overachieved. I got us to the college football playoff. My head coach, who you agreed to pay X amount of dollars, has a show clause in his contract that says if he accomplishes X amount of success, he gets more money. Where's mine?
And look, I don't think anyone is, right-thinking people are not begrudging Nico for wanting to get paid for playing college football.
Sure, anybody outside the state of Tennessee.
Right? Like, I don't think anyone is hating on him for that. I think it's the number. It's the amount of money that he's asking, which is just like, as far as we can tell, is just way more than anyone else has even thought about getting.
Yeah, that's the thing that's been kind of eating me up all weekend when I started hearing about this, especially because that was all the national shows. That's all they wanted to cover.
Yeah.
On like Saturday and Sunday was Nico. For me, it's the fact that he's asking for $4 million. He has buku eligibility left.
Yeah.
So in perpetuity, you'd basically be paying him $4 million if that's going to be your quote unquote going rate for him and for a decent quarterback in the college football landscape. But then also the thing that just bothered me out of all of it is where.
Yeah,
I don't
who's
think
got it.
I don't think anyone has the cojones to be like, sure, we'll give you $4 million for
Notre
that.
Dame.
And I just want to point out one more thing, John.
Isn't Oregon looking
You're
for a quarterback?
paying $4 million for a quarterback who underperformed in the first round of the college football playoff.
And the season, for that
No,
matter.
I don't
He
know
was a
that
Heisman hopeful, man.
I don't
He
think he
wasn't-
underperformed.
I would say that he did.
For a redshirt
I mean,
freshman,
33
first time
was-
starter, he had a pretty good year. Like, he was good.
That's fair. Have fun in Oregon, Nico.
Yeah, which that's the part about this that we're not talking about
Dan Lanning.
is
Phil Knight.
not even that. Like,
Philip.
Dan Lanning, like, clearly was contacting people about this quarterback. And we there's one thing to talk about tampering and have coaches come out and mention it. For a head coach to come out and say, "Hey, listen, we weren't necessarily asking, but we were asking." That's something I think you got to find a way to put a cap
Look,
on.
Contracts solve so many of these problems. They just
though?
do. They just do.
Do they? Because you got guys in the NBA riding on banana boats with their buddy and then eventually ending up taking their talents to South Beach. And you've got NFL players that go on retreats together. And the next thing you know, there's a blockbuster
But
deal in
Jimmy,
a trade.
But yes, trades happen. And in the soccer world, transfers happen. But think about it in the NFL. If a guy's under contract and the team says, well, we're not trading you, you're under contract, you can either play or not.
Yeah, listen.
It's like, if
that
you
is
want
a
to,
much different conversation when you have a roster, a practice squad, and an emergency quarterback.
with half the number of players that you'll have in college football.
But you have a higher salary cap. And there's more talent. And
Yep.
everybody's an NFL
Yep.
guy. You have your starting quarterback who's a preseason Heisman favorite leave after game 5. That is a completely different conversation.
But listen, if he leaves after game 5, he doesn't get paid.
By
Because-
you.
Sure.
He's not leaving unless he's got a guaranteed check somewhere else.
Right. And that's why I think there needs to be transfer fees built into these contracts so that, okay, you want to take our starting quarterback after 5 games, you owe us $7 million. You owe my school $7 million now. And then you have to pay him whatever he wants. So go ahead and have fun with that. There has to be something built into a contract that is a deterrent for the kind of the tampering or whatever you want to call it. Like, if you want this guy so bad, pony up the cash.
If these hot takes weren't good enough for you, we got our Pillion Sanitation Tracks takes of the night coming up. If you missed our segment about transfers out of college football, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Paul Davis Restoration. We all know that seasonal storms are right around the corner. Maybe you've got a plumbing problem that backed up in your house and you need your basement restored. Don't deal with the mold. Deal with Paul Davis. Call 402-553-0373 tonight. Work with a local reputable restoration company like Paul Davis that can take care of all of your storm needs. You maybe had a fire in your house, or maybe your neighbor caused a little bit of smoke damage with a fire in their house. They can fix all of that as well. Call 402-553-0373 tonight. We'll be right back. Plain Sanitation Trash Take tonight. 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everybody. John here for Cunningham's Pub. Who's hungry? Is it you? If you're hungry right now, I got a place for you to go. It's Cunningham's in Blackstone. Great parking garage. Just opened up across the street. You don't even have to walk very far, even though you probably might want to after you eat all the delicious food at Cunningham's, because once you sit down at one of those great seats at Cunningham's, you're going to want to order everything on the menu, wings included. Wings are great. The wings at Cunningham's, I'm telling you what, the wildest and most surprising flavors of wings you are ever likely to try. The blueberry sriracha is one that we tried early on in our partnership with Cunningham's. And I'll be honest with you, I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know what this is going to do to me, but it is delicious. The PBJ wings are fantastic. And those new Parmesan garlic wings are also extremely good. The House Buffalo, the 4-Alarm, it doesn't matter. All the sauces are great, and they go on those delicious smoked wings. They do everything right at Cunningham's. The burgers are great. The appetizers are great. And oh, yes, the local beer selection is great as well. If I just made you hungry, get yourself to Blackstone to Cunningham's tonight.
Closing it down on a Monday night here on 1620 Zone, brought to you by by our friends at Pyramid Contractors. Yeah, I was gonna say Bellevue University, kind of. But if you are looking to get your windows, roof, gutters, or siding replaced, Bellevue University can't do that. Pyramid Contractors can. Head over to pyramidroof.com and book a free estimate tonight. I'm gonna go and start us off. The Nebraska running back room is not full yet. Jaden Knott, the Cal running back, just entered the transfer portal and is very, very, very good friends with Isaiah Hunter. Nebraska may add one more to that room before fall gets here.
That's an interesting take. I saw it today too and thought, well, I wonder. But then just the reason I kind of dismissed it was just because of how highly the staff has talked about the running back room in the spring, and it just didn't seem like they were interested in adding anything else. But you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Your hot take?
Assistant general managers in college football are stupid.
Agreed.
Because it's become just an excuse for a former player to give more money to said school. Does anyone really believe that Max Crosby is going to do anything involving personnel at Eastern Michigan?
Can I give you an even better take on that, John? Who gives a crap? It's Eastern Michigan.
But honestly, this is not the first current NFL player who's becoming the quote-unquote assistant general manager for his former college.
Trae Young.
It's just happening a bunch now.
Steph Curry.
And, let's call it what it is. This isn't an assistant general manager. He's not going to be making personnel decisions. He's not going to be deciding what we should pay players on our roster. He's going to be an ambassador. That's what this role is.
You know whose fault this is? This is Doug Gottlieb's fault. Because he successfully-ish moved off TV into a head coaching role in college basketball. And everybody went, well, if Doug Gottlieb could do it, how do we make
he didn't stop doing his podcast.
Or his radio show.
Exactly. So Trae Young's not going to stop playing NBA basketball to be the assistant GM at Oklahoma. This is so stupid.
It's a really dumb trend that I wish people would just call it what it is.
By the way, Jimmy, apples to oranges. And by the way, it's apples to oranges that have rotted in the Florida sun for months upon months upon months. Doug Gottlieb is decent at one job, being a radio host.
So which one is Gottlieb? Is he the apple, the orange?
Fantastic at being a head coach at Green Bay, who plays possibly the lowest form of Division I basketball at this point.
Which is funny because his Twitter handle is still at Gottlieb Show, by the way.
The Patriot League still exists, Dan.
Dan, what's your hot take?
I'll lose my shirt on the Patriot League any night.
We're up against it. What do you got for your hot take?
I am even more excited for the WNBA season than I have ever been. I cannot wait to see what Paige Beckers gets to do with Dejanay Carrington, with Areka Agumbakawale. Sorry, not really good with last names or first names, apparently, in that case. But my girl, the princess that was promised, Haley Van Lith, just going to the Chicago Sky. I cannot wait to see how well and or how poorly that goes. Because you have a scoring dominant ball handler in Haley Van Lith getting paired with the biggest personality in all of women's basketball in Angel Reese. It's either going to be fire meets ice or fire meets fire.
Brody Heidemann?
Jimmy, you won't like this. Mike Trout is sort of back. 6 home runs on the season, tied for first. He doesn't have a great batting average, but I mean, through everything he's been through, he's sort of back.
T-minus 6 days before he gets injured for the rest of the season. Hey, if you missed the rest of the show, check it out at soundcloud.com/afterhours1620. It was brought to you by Allo Business. Allo has been empowering communities in Nebraska since 2003 by offering integrated products into their services that allow your business to run smooth. That's right, 24/7 customer support for data and business needs, TV, cybersecurity, and voice solutions, all at allobusiness.com. Check out Allo Business for more details tonight. For Dan Campbell, John Schreider, Brody Hyman, I've been Jimmy Allen. Happy National Crayola Day, everybody.